The private jets of the world's richest presidents. Let's find out who these presidents are. Number 1. Hassan al-Bolkiah. Hassan al-Bolkiah is the second longest ruling monarch after Queen Elizabeth II, and one of the last absolute monarchs in the world, possibly making him even more strange. He used to be the richest person in the world, a title he held until the early 1980s. He is still one of the most strange people in the top 1%. The Sultan of Brunei is thought to have a net worth between $20 billion and $40 billion. It is said that he spends a lot of the money he makes from selling oil on frivolous purchases, most of which are cars. He is proud to own a whole fleet of wide-bodied giant planes and the world's most expensive private jet. Even though this claim has been questioned, he is thought to be the owner of the world's biggest family house. Most likely, the word opulence was made up to describe how rich the Sultan lived. The floating palace, a one-of-a-kind Boeing 747-400 plane that he bought a little more than 10 years ago, is a great example of this. Even now, it is the most expensive and luxurious plane of its kind. Reports say that when the Sultan bought his Boeing 747-400, he paid anywhere from $100 million to $400 million for it. A new Boeing 747-400 costs more than $260 million right now, but the Sultan is said to have paid between $100 million and $400 million for his. He also spent an extra $120 million to make it his own. Most of this money went toward adding gold plating, Lalique crystal, hardwood floors, and special carpets to every surface. Since this is a private plane owned by a government employee, not much has been said about it in public. But the ones that were made public show a very different picture. The plane lives up to its name by giving the Sultan and his huge group of followers a very high level of luxury and comfort. It has a private office that you can control with a remote, a master bedroom with its own bathroom, a formal dining room with unique dishes and glasses with sterling silver bases, a conference room, and other areas that look like lounges. There is also a formal dining room with handmade tableware and glasses with sterling silver bases that can be taken off. There must be something about autocrats and other people in positions of total power that makes them think that their waste is too valuable to flush down a regular porcelain toilet bowl. Shakespeare thought that a rose by any other name would taste just as good. But in this case, only gold will do. The same rule applies to the Sultan. So all of the fixtures and wash basins in the bathrooms of his floating palace are either made of real gold or have a thin layer of gold over them. Let's just say that the Sultan owns a piece of real estate in the sky. Since the Boeing 747-400, which is an updated version of the original 747, can fit up to 416 people in 3 classes. This is just one of his many planes, but it is the crown prize. The Sultan also owns a Boeing 767-200, an Airbus A340-200, and at least 2 Sikorsky helicopters. Besides this plane, he has a whole fleet of other planes. People think that when he is flying abroad, the 747-400 is his favorite plane to fly. He travels around the world a lot, and this floating palace is a great way to fly for long amounts of time. A 747-400's normal range is 13,450 kilometers. That's 7,262 nautical miles. But this one has extra fuel tanks that let it easily go over 15,000 kilometers or 8,100 miles. Number 2. Xi Jinping. The next person on this list is Xi Jinping. Since you are in charge of China, which has one of the largest economies in the world, you must be able to buy a few private jets, right? Xi Jinping has a private plane. If you look for Xi Jinping Boeing, you will find out that, unlike many of his contemporaries, the Chinese leader doesn't own any private planes and instead uses Air China Airlines. Xi Jinping owns 2 Boeing 747-400s, which make up his fleet of planes. Here is a list of the technical details of the Xi Jinping Air China plane. Since Xi Jinping doesn't have his own private plane, the Boeing 747-400 of Air China, which is a passenger airline, is turned into the Xi Jinping Boeing, whenever the Chinese leader needs to use it. After a thorough check, the security team makes changes to the inside of the plane. Seats had to go in order to make room for a living room, bedroom, and a study. There are no pictures of the inside of Xi Jinping's Boeing that can be found online, because that would be dangerous. It is thought that Xi Jinping's Boeing is worth about $250 million. Number 3. Vladimir Putin. Let's take a look inside Vladimir Putin's ridiculous private jet, often called the Flying Kremlin, which cost $716 million. This is not the inside of a five-star hotel at all. This is Russian President Vladimir Putin's private jet that he uses when he needs to get somewhere. The $716 million jet, which is also called the Flying Kremlin, has a large office, a bedroom fit for a king, and a toilet made of gold. The private jet also has a lounge that can be used for meetings, a bar with top-shelf whiskeys, and a gym room with treadmills, weightlifting equipment, and a punching bag that can be used for workouts before landing. You might think that the level of comfort is too high, but in the president's defense, he does spend a significant amount of time on the jet. During his time in power, he is said to have flown more miles than any other Russian leader. You can rest easy knowing that Vladimir Putin is moving quickly in his jet, which can go up to 560 miles per hour or 900 kilometers per hour. The Ilyushin Il-96-300PU is a jet plane with a long range and 4 jet engines. The Soviet Union made the plans for this plane, which first flew for the first time in 1986 and went into service in 1993. The Il-96 jet is 55.35 meters, or about 181 feet 7 inches long, and its wings are 60.12 meters, or about 197.3 inches wide. The VC-25, on the other hand, is a heavily modified Boeing 747-200 that serves as the president's plane. It is 70.66 meters or 231 feet 10 inches long and has wings that are 59.64 meters or 195 feet 8 inches wide. There is no top deck on the plane that the president uses. Even though the Il-96-300PU has a lot of the same specs as the original model, the presidential version has a longer range, even though it can't be refueled in flight. The inside of the Flying Kremlin is very luxurious and decorated in a neoclassical style. This shouldn't be a surprise. Among the other things that make the Russian flag unique, leather furniture, walnut veneers, and gold trims stand out. Russian President Vladimir Putin and the other guests on board have everything they could possibly need, no matter what's on the agenda or where they're going. Facilities include a private office, several meeting and conference rooms, a relaxation room, a guest lounge, a mini gym, a large dining room, a bar, multiple showers, and, of course, a medical unit that is fully prepared to provide a wide range of emergency treatments. To top it all off, the IL-96-300PU has a lot of safety features to make sure that the president and his guests, whether they are members of the president's family or other government officials, can journey and arrive safely. Number 4. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. The next person on this list is Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, the president of Kazakhstan. He is said to have access to a whole fleet of planes worth more than $250 million. It has a number of planes and a Mi-8 helicopter, which is usually used for shorter trips. Even though there are a lot of planes in the presidential fleet, only a few are ever used for the most important events. Here are the big 3: an Airbus A330-243 Prestige, an Airbus A320-214CJ Prestige, and an Airbus A321-211 CJ. The Airbus A330-243 Prestige is the most expensive of the 3 models. It is only used for special events, like the G20 meeting where the most powerful leaders from all over the world get together to talk about important political issues. It has also been used for important trips to the United States, China, and Russia. In April 2019, for example, the plane landed at the Vnukovo 2 airport as part of a business trip to Russia. Berkut Air is a Kazakh airline that started in 2000 and helps the government get extra planes when they need them. For example, the president can take either a Boeing 757-200 or a Tupolev Tu-134AK through Berkut. Presidents of countries usually fly on their country's local airlines whenever they can. And Kazakhstan's president does the same thing. Thanks for watching this video.